Okay, begin today at the Mishnah, Daf Yud Aleph, from Amud Beis, towards the bottom of the Yomit. This Mishnah continues the halachas we're learning in this Perek about the holidays of Avoda Zara, where it's not allowed to do different business dealings with a guy. Sagt the Heilige Mishnah, Ir sheyesh ba Avodas Kechavim, a city that there's Avoda Zara there in this city, and they have their holidays that they celebrate in that city. Chutz Allah, outside of the city, mutter. It's allowed to do business with them, with the people that are living outside the city, because they don't follow the same customs like the people that are inside the city. The ones inside the city have their Avoda Zara, and the ones that are outside, they have a difference. So therefore, you're allowed to do business with them. If the case is the opposite, that the ones that are outside, they have their days, their holidays, that they celebrate their Avoda Zara, so then, toicha, the Bach takes out the word law, toicha mutter. So at that time, you can't do the dealings with the goyim that are outside the city, or with the ones that are inside the city. It's allowed. They don't celebrate the same holidays. Now, mahu leilech l'sham. What's the halach? Is one allowed to go to this city on the day of their celebration of their Avoda Zara, to go to talk to somebody inside the city? So the Gemara says, the Mishnah says, if the way that you're traveling is into this city where they have this celebration, this holiday of Avoda Zara, then, and that's the only place where this route, this road takes you to, inside the city. That doesn't take you to anywhere else. Then, asr. You shouldn't be traveling on this place because it looks like that you're going inside the city to go and join them with their celebration of Avoda Zara. But if this is a road that passes through the city, it goes through the city, but then it also goes out into another city. So then, mutter. Then it's allowed, because whoever sees you traveling on this road, he doesn't think that you're going into this city to serve Avoda Zara. You're just passing through and you're going somewhere else. What does it mean when it says in the Mishnah that outside of the city, you're allowed to do the dealings with the guy, even if inside they have this holiday, the celebration of Avoda Zara? In other words, how far outside do you have to be? Omer Rab Shimon ben Lakish, Mishum Rab Chanina. So Rab Shimon ben Lakish said in the name of Rab Chanina, Kagayin atluza shel Aza, like the butcher. They're selling animals there and selling meat. That's right outside of the city of Aza. Gaza, that Rashi says it's the Ir shel Plishtim. Yeah. So over there, inside the city, there was Avoda Zara, and right outside, mamish, right outside the city, was a place where they were selling animals. So even though it's mamish right outside the city, it's outside, and over there you can do business with them on that time of the holiday. There was another version how this was said. Rab Shimon ben Lakish Rab Chanina, he asked the Shaila from Rab Chanina about this place, Atluza Shel Aza, this butcher, this place, they sell animals right outside of Aza. Mahu, what's the halacha? Is that considered to be too close to the city or not? It's allowed. And Amalei Rab Chanina answered and told him with the following analogy: Did you never go to the city of Tzur in your life? And Tzur was a place where there was Yidden and Goyim, both living in the city. And you saw there, Yisrael, Kechavim, there's a Yid and a guy that lived there, that they placed their pots on the same stove, and the Chachamim were not concerned about this, even though there's a pot that's asr, a pot of a guy and a pot of a Yid that's mutter, they're very close to each other, and nevertheless Chachamim were not concerned. So just like that is with two pots on the same stove, so too over here, that even though the people that are inside the city, it's us to do business with them, they're serving Avoda Zara, and the people that are outside are right there, but nevertheless, Chachamim were not concerned about this. That's what you could learn from there. So the Gemara explains, what was this example that it's learning out from these two pots that are on the same stove? What exactly was it regarding these two pots that you would be concerned about, that it's saying the Chachamim were not chayshish? And we learned that this similar is regarding the people inside the city, that the people outside the city were not concerned that they're connected to the people inside. So the Gemara here brings three different pshatim explaining what exactly it is that we learn from these two pots that are on the same stove. So Amar Abaye says that the pshat is as follows: Mishum basa nevela, that by the pots we're not concerned about the basan avela, non-kosher meat, ending up in the pot of the Yid. What does this mean? Lo yamrino, we are not concerned, we don't say, Dilme mahadar ape Yisrael lachayre. Maybe the Yid will turn his face away. And v'shadi evikachavim nevela b'kdeira. That the guy will take meat from his pot that's not kosher and throw it into the pot of the Yid. Now this is obviously a chashash of a isra min ha-Torah, that there might be non-kosher meat that the guy will throw into the pot of the Yid. And nevertheless, even though there's a chashash isra min ha-Torah, Chachamim were not chayshish for this. So according to this pshat, what can we learn out over here regarding the subject of Avoda Zara that we're talking about? Outside the city, that even if inside the city there's Avoda Zara, you can do business with the guy right outside the city. So the chvasa over here as well, hachanami lechoshu lahem chachamim are not concerned. And so over here, according to Abaye's pshat, the Gemara will now explain that we're not concerned not only for the subject that we're talking about over here. What are we talking about over here? A gzeira midrabanan, not to do business with a guy in the time of his holiday, starting from 3 days before. But there's something else actually. When you do business with a guy in the time of his holiday, so it's possible that the money that this guy is paying you for the behemoth that you're selling him is money that comes from Avoda Zara. Since this is a time that he's serving Avoda Zara, it could be that this is money from Avoda Zara. So maybe when you're going to this itlis, this place selling animals outside the city of Aza, so even though it's people outside of the city, they're not serving Avoda Zara, but the people inside the city are serving Avoda Zara. So maybe the people outside of the city have money from Avoda Zara that they're using to pay you for the animals that you're selling them. Now this is different than the subject that we're talking about here, because this is actually an ism in ha-Torah. As Rashi over here brings it, we'll see it later in the Masechta, that you're not allowed to have hana from any money that was used for Avoda Zara. Lo yidbak biyotcha mu'uma min ha-chedam. That's the pasuk where you see this. So it's ism in ha-Torah. So now what the Gemara is saying is, just like you're saying regarding the two pots on the same stove, that what do we say there? Even though there's a chashash ism in ha-Torah, that he may put nevela into your pot, we're not chayshish for this. So over here as well, for having a no from the money of Avoda Zara, we're not even chayshish for that. Now definitely, we're not chayshish for the ism midrabanan, that when you're doing business with this guy that's outside the city, that money then may cause that the people inside the city will come and be mated to their Avoda Zara. This whole gzeira of chachamim not to do business with a guy at the time of his holiday, for sure we're not chayshish for that. But the chiddush of what Abaye is saying, that we learn from these two pots of the Yid and the guy on the same stove, that we can learn from there that by Avoda Zara, there's no chash that you're having anah from money of Avoda Zara, which is an ism in ha-Torah. That's Abaye's pshat. Rava argues with his pshat. And Rava says, when it says that the chachamim were not concerned about having the pot of the Yid and the pot of the guy on the same stovetop, what were they not concerned for? They were not concerned that maybe it's the fire and the guy may be the one that puts on the fire under the pot of the Yid, and there's an isser to eat from anything that the guy put on the fire and the guy cooked it. Right? So this is, we'll see later in the Masechta, this is one of the Isurim that's going to be discussed here in the Masechta, the Isur of Bishul Akum, the guy cooking. That's the point that we're not concerned of. Now, so Rashi explains, what's the point that Rav is arguing with Abaye? Rav says that the thing that we're not concerned about, that Rav Chanina said we're not concerned when you have two pots on the same stove, is the Isur Midrabanan of Bishul Akum. That's not an Isur Min ha-Torah. This Isur Min ha-Torah that Abaye spoke about, which is basan nevela, that the guy might put basan nevela into the pot of the Yid, that's l'chatchila not negeya here. That's not relevant in this case. Why not? So Rashi says, why would a guy take his basan nevela and put it into the pot of the Yid? Why would he have a motivation to do that? What would be his interest in doing that?
It's not pious.
Again? Oh, one second. Simply, there would be no reason why the guy would want to put his nevela into the pot of the Yid. So why should we be concerned about that? So therefore, what Rav is saying is, regarding the basan nevela, the reason why we're not concerned about that is because there's no reason to believe that the guy should do it. But over here, though, regarding the people that are outside the city, right outside the city where they're serving Avoda Zara, there actually is a concern that this guy outside the city is using money from Avoda Zara, from the people that are inside the city, and therefore you're having a no from money of Avoda Zara. That still is a chashash. That chashash min ha-Torah would still be there. Elamai, what are we learning out from this case of these two pots on the same stove? That we're not chayshish for bishul akum. That's what we're not chayshish for. So therefore what we learn out is, hachanami over here as well, leichoshalem chachamim mishum yom edom. That the gzeirim rabbanon, not to do business dealings with a guy on the day of their holiday, that's what we learn out from there that we're not concerned about. But for the ism and atayr of not having enough from the money of a guy, that we are concerned about. The Rishonim actually discussed this, that the svara of Abaya is difficult to understand. Why was Abaya saying that we could learn from there that we're not concerned about the guy putting the veil into the pot of a yid? The Gemara's lashon before was, maybe the yid will turn his face away and the guy will put the veil into his pot. Why would the guy do such a thing? Why would you think that that's a chash? So they bring from Rabbeinu Yonah that says what you just said. That not b'chavana. The guy might, if you have two pots on the same stovetop, he might by mistake put his nevela into the pot of the yid. That's what Abaya held. It's coming to tell us that we're not concerned for that.
Isn't that the whole basis of Bosan Min Ayin?
Bosan Min Ayin, I'm not sure if over there it's Tos. That's Gzeirim de Rabbanon.
Again, why worry about this one? But the yid
turns away.
From the face, I don't know.
Right.
So
yeah, maybe a similar thing. Correct. Yeah. Okay, a third pshat. So again, the first pshat is, Abayi's pshat is that we're not even chayshish for Isam and Atayra. Rav says we're only not chayshish for the Isam and the Rabbanon to do business with a guy, Yom Edom, which starts from 3 days before. Rabba Ba'ula says something else. That when Abchanina said that you're putting the two pots on the same stove, what was he trying to say? What are we not concerned for? We're not concerned that maybe something from the pot of the guy will come out, some moisture or something will spill from the pot of the guy into the pot of the yid. That's the point that Rab Chanina was saying. So over here as well, Rashi explains that Rabbi Bar Ula is trying to say this, that you're saying that there could be a concern that the guy puts his nevel into the pot of the yid. That's l'chatchila not a concern. Why would the guy do that? This that you say bishul akom, it's also l'chatchila not a concern. Because when the yid puts down his pot there, he puts on the fire. What's the halacha regarding bishul akum? As long as the yid is the one that ignites the fire, so then if the guy makes the fire larger and anything else that he does afterwards doesn't matter. So there's really no reason to be concerned about bishul akum here. Elamai, all that it's saying is that we're not concerned about something from the pot of the guy spilling into the pot of the yid. Why are we not concerned for this? So here Rashi explains, because over here it's sort of a svek sveke. Because first of all, who said it will spill from the pot of the guy into the pot of the yid? And even if it will spill, it's a little bit that spills into the pot of the yid, and it's totally bottle. It's bottle b'shishim, and therefore there's no reason to be chayshish. So now, if that's the point that Rab Chanina was saying with this mashal from the two pots, the chvasa. So when we learn out to our case, hachanami lechashalem chachamim mishum lefnei yidayan. Over here, what it was saying is, if you're going to do business with a guy outside the city and inside the city, they're serving Avoda Zara, when is there no concern about this? Only for the 3 days before the day of the holiday. Which means that dafke lefnei. On the day of the holiday of the Avoda Zara, so then you cannot do business right outside the city with a guy. So Rashi explains, the Shainim explain, that if it's the days before, so there's also a svek sveke, there's also a double suffix. First of all, who says this guy that's outside, when he is doing business with you, who says he has any connection to the people inside the city? And it's going to come to cause the people inside the city to be made to their Avoda Zara. That's the first thing. And second of all, even if the people outside the city are connected to the people inside the city, so even if they're buying from you or doing business with you, lav dafka, they're going to be made to Avoda Zara, even if they are connected. So again, who says they are connected b'chlal? And even if they are, not always does it cause them to be made to Avoda Zara because you're doing business with them. But that's only lifnei ideyan, because since it's a few days before, it's from the 3 days before the Avoda Zara, so lav dafka, 2 days or 3 days later, will they remember and thank their Avoda Zara for the business that they did with you. But on the day of the holiday itself, according to this pshat, according to Rabbi Bar Ula's pshat, you're not allowed to do business with a guy right outside the city where they're serving Avoda Zara, because on that day, if he's connected to someone inside the city, it'll definitely cause them to be made at Avoda Zara. So therefore, it's tafkid from before that you can do the business outside the city. Okay, going to the next chelik of the Mishnah, it said, Ma'al leilech l'sham v'chulu, are you allowed to travel on this road that goes inside the city on this time of the holiday, when they're celebrating a holiday of Avoda Zara? So the Mishnah said it depends if it's a road that goes only into the city or it's a road that goes somewhere else as well. A city that has an Avoda Zara, you're not allowed to enter inside the city and not from this city, even if you're going to another city. Because there's a suspicion that people will say that this person is going to serve Avoda Zara. David Rab Meir. Chachamim say, like it said in our Mishnah, that kol zman sha'derech miyuchedes lo'isem mokim. If it's a road that is designated to going into this city, it doesn't go anywhere else, then also, and it's not allowed. But ein derech miyuchedes lo'isem mokim. But if it's not a road that's designated only to this city, you can go and travel to other places as well. Mutter, then you're allowed to go on this way. Similar to this, the Braisa brings other halachas that teach us what is not allowed to be done because it looks like the person is serving Avoda Zara. Yashav like kites, if a person has a splinter on his foot and he's standing right in front of an Avoda Zara, he shouldn't bend down to take out this splinter because it looks like he's bowing down to the Avoda Zara. But if when he does this, it does not appear as he's bowing down to Avoda Zara, the Gemara will soon describe this, then mutter, then it's allowed. Another example, if a person dropped money spread out on the floor right in front of Avoda Zara, he shouldn't bend down and pick up this money. Looks like he's bowing down to the Avoda Zara. Now, if it doesn't look like he's bowing down to the Avoda Zara, then mutter, then it's allowed. A stream of water that's flowing in front of an Avoda Zara, should not bow down and drink from this water. They should not bend down, that is, and drink from the water. It looks like he's bowing down to the Avoda Zara. If it does not appear so, mutter, it's allowed. Another halacha, partsufais hamakalchem mayim likrochim. These images of faces that were made like water fountains. And the way these images were made was that the water came out of the mouth of this image. And this was made in large cities for beauty. So this, okay, I guess it was made this way. Here there's a machlokes and rishonim, what kind of partsufais the Gemara is talking about. Is it talking about these images that are actually made as an Avoda Zara? Or they're just images that are made for beauty? They could look similar to Avoda Zara, but they're really not Avoda Zara. I think most rishonim say that this is not really Avoda Zara. Lo yaniach piv al piyem v'yishta. He should not place his mouth on the mouth of this water fountain to drink from it, because it would look like he's kissing an Avoda Zara. And again, as I mentioned, even if it's not actually Avoda Zara, but because this image, this face that they make that looks like Avoda Zara, one should not do this. Kayetze boy, a similar halacha that the person should not drink from. This is not connected to Avoda Zara, but also that a person should be careful not to drink this water. Lo yaniach piv al siloin. Do not place your mouth directly on a pipe where water is flowing through it on the ground, and the yishta, to drink directly from this water, mipnei sakana, because there's a danger, as the Gemara will explain soon. The danger of why you should not drink from this water that's flowing in a pipe. Okay, so the Tilia is the Braisa. And the Gemara explains what the Braisa means here. So it said that you should not bend down, take out a splinter, or pick up money if it appears that it could appear that you're buying to the Avoda Zara. But it says if it does not appear to be so, then it's allowed. Says the Gemara, what's the meaning when it says that if it does not appear so? So then it's allowed. Doesn't mean that if he's doing this when nobody's around. Nobody sees that he's bending down to pick up his money or to take out a splinter. So then it's allowed because no one else sees this. In fact, the Gemara, that can't be the pshat because anytime there's anything that's forbidden for maris ayin, because it appears like you're doing something that's wrong. This is the halacha that's brought mainly regarding Shabbos. Any halacha that's also because it looks like it's maris ayin, it looks like a chil Shabbos. Even if you're in a room within a room and there's nobody that sees what you do, it's still forbidden. So what does it mean here when it says that if it's not nideh, then it's allowed? Rather, what it means is if it does not appear like he's bowing down to the Avoda Zara, meaning if he's not He's facing the Avoda Zara, he picks up his money or he takes out the splinter facing in a different direction. So he's not bending down, that he's bowing towards the Avoda Zara, then it'll be allowed. Mutter, then it's allowed. Okay, now this Braise brought 3 different examples of a person that's bending down, and it would seem like he's bowing down to Avoda Zara. Why do we need all these examples? Says the Gemara, it was necessary to say all these examples. The Tana Kaitz, if it would say the case of a person taking out a splinter, so the reason why it's saying that he shouldn't do this in front of the Avoda Zara, because if he has a splinter, let him walk further, and there he'll take out the splinter. He doesn't have to do it right here in front of the Avoda Zara. But if his money fell in front of the Avoda Zara, he can't walk further. His money is right there. So I would think, maybe here it's not forbidden. He's allowed to bend down to pick up his money, even if it looks like he's bowing down to Avoda Zara. On the other hand, if we would only say the case of the money, so I would say the memaina. This is a loss of money. So Chachamim said that it's not allowed to bend down to pick up your money. Aval kaitz, the tzara. When a person has a splinter and it's painful for him, even to walk another step, it's painful. So I would say that he doesn't have to walk further, and he's allowed to bend down to take down the splinter right there. Now, if the Braisa would mention only these 2, that he should not bend down, so it shouldn't appear that he's bowing to the Avoda Zara, I would say mishum deleka sakana, because in both of these cases there's no danger involved. Aval mayon deke sakana, but when it comes to drinking water, we hear the person's life could be in danger. The person could be so thirsty that if he doesn't drink now, he's gonna die. He'll die if he doesn't drink. So, I would say that then I do not apply this issur that he should not bend down and drink the water. Therefore, the Braisa has to say, even in this case, that he should not drink this water. So this last case is also a discussion in the Mefarshim, the Rishonim. Does the Gemara Taka literally mean that we're talking about a person that's about to die if he does not drink this water? And it's saying that nevertheless he should not bend down to drink water because it appears like he's bowing to the Avoda Zara. If that's the pshat in the Gemara, then what you could learn from here is, we know that the Avoda Zara is one of the 3 Avedas that a person has to die and not serve Avoda Zara. But over here, we're not talking about a person that's serving Avoda Zara. We're talking about a person that's bending down. It appears like he's serving Avoda Zara. So in the simple pshat of the Gemara, it's saying that just because it appears like he's serving Avoda Zara, he has to be ready to die for this and not drink water. But there's other Rishonim, though, that say that's not what the Gemara means. The Gemara means that a person that is thirsty, it's possible that a person that's thirsty could die if he doesn't drink. But we're not talking to be a mamish, a matzav of sakanas nefashis. And therefore he should not bend down and drink from the water. Okay, the next case the Braisa said was partsufos, these images of faces that you drink like a water fountain and it comes out of the mouth of this image. So lamali, why is the Braisa mentioning this? It's similar to the point that it spoke about before, not to bend down and drink water from the stream of water. So over here, this is also not to drink water because it looks like you're kissing this Avoda Zara, or something that's similar to Avoda Zara. And says the Gemara, the reason it's mentioning this is mishum dekaboy lemisnik hayotze boy. It's really because it's just leading into the next point that it wants to say, a similar halacha, which is because of a sakana. Lo yaniach piv al gabi asila, that a person should not drink from a water that's flowing in a pipe, v'yishtem mipnei sakana, because of danger. And that's the main point that the Braisa wanted to add and say. Now, my sakana, what's the sakana that this Braisa is talking about? Aluka. That in the water, if you drink from this water, there could be a leech inside the water. That's, I think that's a translation, yeah, that's what they have there, or some kind of worm or leech that a person can drink. And then what happens is, it goes inside his body, and it eats up inside his intestines, and it can be dangerous, it can kill the person. So in connection to this, the Gemara brings another Braisa that says more details about these kind of things that's a danger. So Tana Abara, we learned in the Braisa, a person should not drink water. Not directly from rivers, or from a lake or a puddle of water. Not directly with his mouth, or taking up the water with a hand. If he does drink this way, directly from this river or lake, his blood is, if he dies, it's his fault. He caused this. There's a danger. My sakana, what's the danger? As we said, sakana saluka, the danger of a leech being in this water. This proves the point that Rab Chanina said, a person that swallows this leech that's in water, and drank directly from the water, and he swallows this, so if this happens on a Shabbos, the person's life is in danger. Mutter, Lohacham lo yachamin b'Shabbos. You're allowed to heat up hot water for him to drink on Shabbos in order to wash it down and to get rid of this danger. There was an incident with someone that swallowed this nima, this aluka, in the water on Shabbos, and v'hitir Rab Nechemye or Rab Chanina, he allowed him lahacham lechamen b'Shabbos to heat up the water on Shabbos. And not only that, he said ad hachi v'hachi, until you'll drink this hot water. So what do you do in order to wash down this aluka, this leech that he swallowed, that it shouldn't cause him any harm? He should swallow vinegar, and that will help him. Now, Omar Rav Idi Bar Ovin said, "Hai man de bala zibura," a person that swallows a zibura, which might be translated as a wasp or a hornet. That's the translator. Okay, a person swallows a hornet. So then michi lechoya, this person will not live. It's dangerous, and he'll die. And there's no eitzah for this. But however, miu l'shake revius adochala. Shamgaz, is that what it is? Yeah, he should drink this revius of this very strong vinegar. Why? Well, even though it's not going to save his life. But efshir the chaye porte, he'll live a little more ad the mafkada base. So he could have a chance to speak and to tell the people of his family before he passes away what they should do to his last will. Tana Rabbanan, another brayso we learned regarding these halachas, lo yishta adam mayim balaylo, should not drink water at night, and this is even out of a vessel. Not just from the ground or from a river or from a stream, but even water that's overnight in the vessel. Vim shasa, if he drinks some of this, dami beroishe. He's causing himself to die. What's the reason for this? At night? This is not overnight. I'm sorry. This is not about drinking in the morning. This is at night, not to drink from a vessel. And the reason is mipnei sakana. There's a danger. My sakana, what's the danger? Sakanas shavriri. This is a sakana of shavriri, which is a shindalid that Rashi says is the one that causes a person to become blind.
Where do I have to do that?
Huh? Oh, so it says it. Let's say. So if a person is thirsty and he wants to drink from a vessel, the water that's in a vessel at night, what should he do? So if there's someone else there in the house with him, wake him up, and tell the other person, I'm thirsty, I need water. So if there's two people, then this shin dalid will not harm you. Okay? But viloi, if you don't have another person with you, so what could the person do? Nekarkish benachmese achatzpa. So you should make noise with the cover of this barrel on the barrel, which would then appear like there's two people here. And then the name of Iyul and Avshay, the person should be talking to himself and should say the following: Planye bar planise omralach. That's the Pliny bar Planis says to you, Imach, your mother, is dar mishavriri. Be careful from this shavriri and briri, riri, yiri, ri. Because chivri, which is in a white cup or in a white glass. And you say this lachash, the statement,
3 times.
And this will cause this shavriri not to harm the person when he's drinking from this water.
I saw that.
You've seen this done? You've seen this many done?
No, I remember, but it could be outside a different din, but he used to have a cup of water, he would pour a little bit off the top.
Yeah, this is like the minute.
But this is the sauce.
Yeah, to pour when you drink, to pour a little bit off from what you drink
Yeah.
before you drink from it. Yeah. Okay.